The sky above Zerath Prime burned in colors humans could barely name, green lightning threading through deep violet clouds. It was a world where humans were not free. They were workers, assistants, silent tools in the hands of their alien masters. Elias stood among them, his face calm, his eyes sharp. He worked as an engineer in one of the royal laboratories of the Velarii, a race of tall, silver-skinned beings whose laws were older than most stars. His job was to fix machines, check power levels, and never speak unless spoken to. The lab today was louder than usual. Sparks flew, metal hummed, and strange glowing liquid filled transparent tubes running along the walls. In the center of the chamber stood a containment pod, a tall crystal cylinder pulsing with blue light. Inside it was a young alien woman named Lyra, the daughter of a high noble. She was testing a new kind of energy core, something sacred to the Velarii, something forbidden to humans. Elias only watched from a distance, his hands gripping a metal tablet. The air smelled of ozone. The scientists around the pod spoke in their native tongue, their voices echoing like singing metal. Then something went wrong. A low hum turned into a high-pitched scream. The pod shook violently, lightning crackling inside it. The scientists panicked, shouting words Elias couldn't fully understand, but he didn't need to. He saw the numbers flashing red on his screen. The core inside the chamber was about to explode. Lyra slammed her hands on the glass, her eyes wide in terror. "It's overloading," she screamed. "Shut it down, now!" One of the Velarii engineers reached for the emergency controls but froze. The console displayed a warning. Sacred seal engaged. Only royal blood may extract core rod. That meant no one could stop it. The floor vibrated under their feet. Blue light flared, growing brighter, hotter. Lyra screamed again, this time not in command, but in pure fear. Elias didn't think. He dropped his tablet, ran past the shouting guards, and threw himself toward the pod. "Human, stop!" someone yelled, but he didn't. His instincts screamed louder. He could see Lyra trapped behind the glass, tears on her silver skin. Without hesitation, he pulled open the control hatch and grabbed the long, glowing core rod, the source of the energy. His skin burned the moment his hand touched it. Pain shot through him like fire, but he held on. He yanked the rod out. For a heartbeat, the entire lab froze. Then, silence. The humming stopped. The blue light faded. Lyra collapsed to her knees, coughing but alive. Elias fell backward, gasping for breath, the core rod still glowing in his trembling hand. He didn't understand what he'd just done, only that he had saved her. Then came the alarms. Every light in the lab turned red. Sirens wailed. Dozens of armored guards burst through the doors, their eyes filled with shock and fury. Lyra looked at Elias with horror, not because he saved her, but because she realized what his action meant. "You," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You weren't supposed to pull out the rod. It's illegal for a human to touch it." Elias blinked, confused. "Illegal? I just saved your life." But before he could say more, the guards seized him, forcing him to the ground. He struggled, his burned hand still glowing faintly. Lyra tried to speak. "Wait, he didn't mean silence," barked the lead guard. "This human has committed a sacred violation. Extraction by non-royal blood is punishable by death." Elias stared up at them, his mind spinning. "Death for saving someone?" Lyra's voice trembled. "Please." He only acted to help. But no one listened. The guards dragged Elias through the glowing corridors of the palace lab, their boots echoing on polished floors. Aliens stepped aside, whispering. Some looked afraid. Others looked disgusted. Elias tried to ask what law he had broken, but no one answered. His body ached from the electric burns. He could still feel the strange pulse of the core through his fingers, like it had left something inside him. When they reached the central hall, he saw a towering alien woman seated on a high throne, High Magistrate Vael, Lyra's mother. Her eyes were cold silver, her face carved from stone. Lyra ran in behind the guards. "Mother, please." The system failed. "He saved me." Vael's expression didn't change. He touched the core of life, a human. "You know what that means," Elias spoke, his voice hoarse. "I didn't care about your laws. I cared about a life." The hall went silent. Vael rose from her throne. "And in breaking our most sacred law, you have condemned yourself." Guards tightened their grip on him. Lyra took a step forward. "There must be another way." "There is none." Vial said sharply. The law of extraction forbids any outsider from touching the sacred energy. Only royal blood may pull it from the vessel. Any other hand is cursed. The word cursed echoed through the hall like thunder. Elias met Lyra's gaze. If that's your law, then your law is broken. Vial's voice cut through the silence like a blade. Take him to the court of punishment. Let all see what happens when a human dares to play God. The guards dragged Elias away. Lyra's voice cracked as she shouted, Wait, please! You'll kill him for saving me? Vial turned her eyes toward her daughter. If the gods wished him to live, they wouldn't have made him human. Lyra stood frozen as Elias disappeared behind the heavy metal doors. The sound of chains echoed down the corridor. For a long moment she stood alone in the hall, trembling. Then she whispered to herself, He broke the law. But maybe he broke something more. Far away, deep beneath the laboratory floor, the same blue energy Elias had pulled from the core pulsed once, faintly, as if alive. Something ancient had awakened. Elias woke to the sound of clanging metal. The air was cold, damp, and smelled like stone and oil. He opened his eyes to find himself in a dark cell made of black crystal bars. His burned hand still throbbed, faintly glowing under the dim light. Every movement sent a sharp pain up his arm. Outside his cell, alien guards in silver armor stood motionless, their glowing eyes fixed ahead. They looked more like machines than living beings. Elias sat up slowly. He tried to remember how he got here. The alarms, the shouting, Lyra's terrified face, her voice echoing. You weren't supposed to pull out. It's illegal here! He rubbed his temples. Illegal for saving a life. Makes sense, he muttered bitterly. A sudden noise broke the silence. The door slid open and light spilled into the hall. Lyra entered wrapped in a long cloak, her silver hair falling over her shoulders. Her eyes were red like she hadn't slept. Elias, she whispered, stepping closer to the cell. He stood and looked at her, his expression cold but calm. You shouldn't be here. They'll punish you too. I don't care, she said, her voice shaking. You saved me. I can't let them kill you for that. Elias leaned against the crystal bars. Then tell me, Lyra, what law did I break? Why is pulling out that glowing stick worth my life? Lyra hesitated. She looked around before whispering. That wasn't just a power core. It was the heart of Zirath, our planet's sacred life energy. Only royal blood can touch it without curse or corruption. When you pulled it out, you committed what our people call the law of extraction. It means I'm doomed, Elias said, half smiling, half bitter. She nodded slowly. Yes, any being who breaks that law must face the court of correction. Correction? Elias repeated, his tone dry. That sounds like torture with extra steps. Lyra's voice trembled. It's a public trial. They will make an example of you. Humiliate, punish, maybe even erase your memories, he frowned. For what? For saving one of you from being fried alive? Lyra's eyes glistened. For touching what they think only gods may touch. Before he could reply, footsteps echoed down the corridor. Guards approached, led by a tall alien priest wearing a black robe. His face was covered by a shining mask carved with runes. Step back, Lady Lyra, the priest ordered. The accused is to be taken to the court. Lyra stepped away, her fists clenched. Elias looked at her one last time. Guess I'm off to your version of Judgment Day. The guards grabbed him roughly, chaining his wrists. He didn't resist. As they dragged him through the glowing halls of the palace, Elias could see alien citizens lining the streets outside, whispering, staring, pointing. Some spat at him. Others looked curious, even afraid. A child tugged on his mother's robe and asked, Why are they hurting the human, Mama? The woman hissed, He touched the forbidden heart. Now he'll pay. Elias looked at the sky above, dark purple swirling with lightning. Beautiful world, he thought. Terrible rules. At last they entered the grand court, an enormous open hall filled with thousands of aliens sitting in silent rows. The ceiling shimmered with light, and in the center stood a raised platform. On it sat the High Council of the Velarii, 9 tall figures cloaked in gold. High Magistrate Vial, Lyra's mother, presided again. Her face showed no mercy. Bring forth the human criminal, she commanded. The guards shoved Elias onto the center platform. He stood tall despite the chains. His hand, still faintly glowing, drew whispers from the crowd. Vale spoke in a deep, commanding voice. Elias of Earth, You have violated the law of extraction. You touched the heart of Zerath, sacred to our race since the dawn of time. What do you plead? Elias looked around at thousands of eyes staring at him, all judging, none understanding. I plead that I saved your daughter's life, he said simply. The hall erupted in gasps. Vale's eyes narrowed. You admit your crime, then use it to justify your defiance? I admit I acted on instinct. Maybe where I come from, life matters more than rules. The aliens murmured again, louder this time. Some looked unsure. Others looked angry. A council member stood. Your words mean nothing, human. You have brought impurity upon our sacred core. Elias clenched his jaw. Maybe your sacred thing isn't as pure as you think. A heavy silence followed. Even Val froze for a moment. Then she raised her hand. Enough, this court finds the human guilty. His punishment shall begin at dawn. Public correction by the circle of purity. Lyra gasped from the shadows of the hall. Mother, no. Vile turned her eyes toward her daughter. He must pay for breaking divine order. Elias looked at Lyra, his voice steady. Don't cry for me. I've faced worse than your gods. The guards pulled him away again. The court lights dimmed, leaving a strange stillness behind. But as Elias passed the center of the platform, something flickered in the air. A faint blue glow spiraling around his chained hands. The same energy from the core the guards didn't notice. Lyra did, her eyes widened. The marks on his skin shimmered with the same pattern as the sacred symbols carved on the council walls. She whispered in disbelief. The prophecy, far above the ceiling lights, blinked, just once, as if something ancient had recognized him. And in that silent moment, Lyra knew. This human hadn't just broken their law. He had awakened something that their world had tried to bury for centuries. Night fell heavy over Zerath Prime, painting the alien city in shadows of blue and violet. The great court lay silent now, its glowing pillars dimmed, its golden banners motionless. But somewhere deep beneath those polished halls, whispers began to spread. Whispers of a human who pulled the sacred core and lived. Elias sat chained inside a circular chamber, lit only by faint blue torches. The walls hummed with strange energy that made the air shimmer. Every breath he took felt heavy, electric. His burned hand glowed faintly, the same strange light he saw in the heart of Zerath. He didn't understand what was happening to him. The pain had faded, but in its place came something else, a pulse, a rhythm that matched his heartbeat, like something alive beneath his skin. He looked down at the faint marks now carved into his palm, 3 glowing lines that formed a spiral symbol. It didn't hurt. It called to him, Elias whispered to himself. What did that thing do to me? Outside his cell, the sound of footsteps echoed. The door opened with a hiss and Lyra stepped inside once more. She looked different. Nervous, pale, and carrying a small metallic tablet covered in holographic runes. You shouldn't be here, Elias said quietly. I had to see you, Lyra replied. Something's happening. Because of you, Elias frowned. You mean because I broke your precious law? Lyra shook her head. No, because you might have fulfilled one. She stepped closer and placed the tablet on the floor. A projection appeared in midair, a spinning golden ring filled with ancient text. The words shifted into English automatically. Thanks to the translation field, Elias read aloud. When the forbidden hand touches the heart of life, the old world shall break and 2 suns shall rise as one. He blinked. That's poetic. What does it mean? Lyra's voice trembled. It's one of our oldest prophecies, the prophecy of the chosen hand. It speaks of someone outside our bloodline who would touch the heart and survive. Every priest swore it was a myth. Until now. Elias gave a dry laugh. You're saying your gods predicted a human like me? I don't know, she whispered. But look at your hand, that mark. It's the same as the ancient seal of Zerath's creator. She pulled up another image, a massive stone carving of a hand, its palm marked with the same spiral symbol. It was said the one who bears this mark could command the planet's life force itself. Elias stared at the hologram, then back at his palm. Command the planet? I can barely command my own life right now. Lyra stepped closer, eyes wide. Don't joke about this, Elias, you don't understand. That power destroyed entire worlds when it last awakened. He met her gaze. Then maybe it's time someone used it to save one. Before Lyra could reply, the walls around them trembled. A booming voice filled the chamber. Step away from the prisoner. The door slid open violently. A group of armored priests entered, led by High Priest Raylan, a tall, shadowed figure with glowing blue eyes. Lyra bowed instinctively. High Priest, I was only— Enough! Raylan's voice echoed like thunder. He turned his eyes toward Elias. The human is not to be touched. He carries the mark of corruption. Elias smirked. Funny, I thought it was the mark of your prophecy. Raylan's eyes narrowed. Do not mock the divine creature. You are a mistake of fate. That symbol is forbidden. He gestured toward the guards. Prepare him for the ritual of cleansing. If the gods truly marked him, they will save him. If not, the fire will take him. Lyra's voice broke. You can't. That ritual kills ordinary beings. He'll die. Raylan glared at her. If he is ordinary, he deserves death. If he is chosen, he will rise. The guards moved toward Elias, unchaining him roughly. He clenched his fists, feeling the strange energy pulse again under his skin. The moment they grabbed him, a shockwave burst from his body, a flash of blue light that threw the guards backward. The torches flickered violently. Energy spiraled from the marks on his hand, crawling up his arm like living light. Lyra stumbled back, eyes wide. Elias! Raylan staggered to his feet, voice trembling now. Impossible. The heart responds to him. Elias stood there, breathing heavily, surrounded by glowing blue dust. His eyes flickered for a moment. Gold and silver light mixed together. He didn't understand how, but the energy wasn't hurting him anymore. It was part of him. I don't want your god's power, he said quietly. I just want to live free, Raylan hissed. Then you shall live as the prophecy's curse. He turned to the guards. Take him to the lower sanctum. The High Council must see this with their own eyes. As they dragged Elias away again, Lyra ran beside him. I'll find a way to help you, she whispered. There's something deeper going on. The old texts speak of a connection between humans and our creators. Maybe that's why you survived. Elias glanced at her. Then find the truth, Lyra, because if I'm their chosen one, I want to know what I'm supposed to choose for. The doors slammed shut behind him. Lyra stood in the empty corridor, her heart pounding. She looked down at the glowing marks still faintly shimmering on the floor where Elias had stood, and for the first time she realized the truth that terrified her most. The prophecy was not just about him. It was about them both. The night stretched across Zareth Prime like a living shadow. Far below the shining towers and crystal palaces of the Velarii, a storm of rebellion whispered through the dark. While the High Council debated the human's fate, the world itself began to tremble, as if something ancient had awoken beneath its crust. Elias lay in a containment cell built deep under the palace. Unlike before, this one had no guards nearby, no windows, only soft blue light humming from the walls. The energy here felt strange, heavier, alive. Every few seconds he could hear a low rumble like the planet breathing. He sat against the wall, staring at his glowing palm. The marks had spread slightly, now tracing faint lines up his wrist. Whatever you are, he whispered to the light, you're not leaving me alone, are you? He didn't get an answer, only that same rhythmic pulse under the floor matching his heartbeat. Suddenly, the wall shimmered. A faint figure appeared, cloaked in dark robes, face hidden beneath a hood. Don't speak, the voice said softly. I'm not here officially. Elias frowned. Who are you? The figure lifted the hood slightly. It was Lyra. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim blue light. I found something, she whispered. Something they buried, and about you, about humans. Elias pushed himself to his feet. You shouldn't be here. They already think I'm corrupted for helping you, she interrupted. I might as well see it through. She tapped the wall with a small silver disc. A section of the floor slid open, revealing a narrow tunnel glowing faintly red. Follow me quietly. Without hesitation, Elias stepped down. The tunnel was narrow and hot, carved from old stone rather than polished metal. As they descended, strange markings appeared along the walls, the same spiral patterns from his hand. Lyra moved carefully, her voice low. This path hasn't been used for centuries. It leads to the Undercity, the oldest part of Zareth Prime. Before the Velarii built their empire, our ancestors lived down here. Side by side with humans, Elias stopped walking. Wait, humans? On this planet? She nodded slowly. According to the Forbidden Archives, yes. Long ago, before our histories were rewritten. The heart of Zerath was created by both our species, but the Council erased that truth. They wanted the Velarii to seem divine, not equal. Elias ran his fingers over the glowing carvings. They pulsed at his touch. So, your people enslaved humans on their own world. Lyra lowered her gaze. Not me. Not the ones who believe. But yes, our ancestors lied. They said humans came later. In truth, humans were first. Elias felt the air shift. The deeper they went, the louder the hum became. Soon the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. The ceiling stretched so high it disappeared into darkness. Giant machines, ancient and rusted, surrounded a glowing pit in the center. The air shimmered with blue mist. "What is this place?" he asked, stepping forward slowly. "The Foundry of Life," Lyra said softly. "It's where the heart of Zerath was born. Every power core, every energy cell, every spark that keeps our cities alive comes from here." Elias stared into the pit. A swirling sphere of light pulsed below, beautiful and terrifying like a star caged beneath the world. He whispered, "It's alive." Lyra nodded. "That's what the ancient text said. The heart isn't just energy. It's a living entity. And when you pulled out the rod, you didn't just save me. You woke it up." Elias felt his heart race. "So that's what's been inside me." Before she could answer, a loud metallic noise echoed behind them. They spun around. Several armored guards stormed in, weapons drawn. "Run!" Lyra shouted. Elias grabbed her hand, pulling her behind a fallen column. Energy blasts scorched the ground around them, blue light flashing across the chamber. He glanced around, searching for escape. The only path was toward the pit, down there. Lyra pointed. "There's a service lift below the heart." They sprinted across the chamber. Elias jumped first, landing hard on a metal platform that descended slowly into the light. Lyra followed, breathing fast. The deeper they went, the quieter the gunfire became, replaced by a low, echoing hum. The air shimmered, and Elias felt the marks on his hand react again. The sphere below them seemed to see him. Lyra watched in awe. "It's responding to you again." Elias stared at it. "Then maybe it wants to show us something." As they neared the base, the light from the heart burst brighter, blinding them. For a few seconds, Elias saw visions, human cities floating in the sky, Velarii and humans working together, laughter, peace, and then fire, war, betrayal. The images came fast, then vanished. He gasped, stumbling back. "It showed me." "The past." Lyra steadied him. "Then it's true. The old world wasn't ruled by the Velarii. It was shared." Suddenly the lift jerked. The guards had followed them down. Laser blasts flew past, striking the walls. The heart pulsed wildly, reacting to the violence. Elias raised his glowing hand toward the guards, and the light from the heart surged into him. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Energy rippled outward, knocking the soldiers unconscious without killing them. When the light faded, Lyra looked around in awe. "You didn't just control it, you commanded it." Elias looked at his hand, breathing hard. "No, it's not me controlling it. It's choosing me." Lyra stared at him, her voice trembling. "If that's true, then the prophecy was never about destroying our world. It was about freeing it." Above them, thunder rumbled through the planet's crust. The heart of Zerath pulsed brighter, as if answering her words. For the first time, Elias wasn't afraid of what he had become. He looked at Lyra and said quietly, "Then let's finish what it started." And as the blue light swallowed the chamber, the planet itself seemed to awaken from a long, forgotten sleep. The light swallowed everything. For a long moment, there was no sound, only the slow pulse of the heart of Zerath beating beneath the surface of the world. Then the light dimmed, and Elias opened his eyes. He was lying on the cold metal floor of the foundry chamber. His skin glowed faintly, threads of silver and blue crawling under it like living veins. Lyra knelt beside him, her hand on his shoulder, eyes wide with fear and wonder. "Elias," she whispered, "you were shining." He slowly sat up, dizzy but alive. "I thought it was going to kill us." "It didn't," she said softly. "It chose you again." Elias stared into the glowing pit below. The heart of Zerath spun slowly, now brighter than before. Its pulse matched his heartbeat. "It's waking up," he said quietly. "I can feel it." Lyra looked at him, unsure whether to be afraid or amazed. "If it's alive, what does it want?" Before Elias could answer, a voice echoed through the chamber. Deep, resonant and not entirely human. It wasn't sound exactly. It was inside their minds. Child of the lost blood? Your touch has freed me from the silence. Elias froze. Who said that? Lyra looked around, trembling. It's the heart. You are not of this world, yet your kind once built it, the voice continued. The Velarii chained me. They took what was meant to be shared. But now through your hand I remember who I am. Elias clenched his fists. Then help me stop them. The voice pulsed softly, almost like a sigh. I can guide you. But power without purpose destroys. The choice will be yours. Before he could ask what that meant, the ground shook violently. The ceiling cracked as explosions thundered above. Lyra stumbled. They found us, she shouted. Elias stood and looked upward. Then we end this here. They climbed onto the upper platform where flashes of blue light filled the air, alien soldiers firing plasma rifles as they descended through the tunnels. Lyra grabbed Elias's arm. You can't fight them all. I don't need to, he said quietly. The heart can. He raised his glowing hand toward the sky. The air rippled. Blue energy surged upward, forming a shimmering barrier that stopped the first wave of fire. The soldiers froze, their weapons sparking uselessly. The chamber roared with power. The heart's light flared brighter, spreading across the metal walls like fire running through veins. The machines that had slept for centuries came alive, gears turning, pistons moving, walls breathing with light. Lyra stared in awe. You're bringing the foundry back online. Elias closed his eyes. He could feel the energy inside the machines, ancient, patient, waiting. It's not me. It's remembering. Then the voice returned, louder, almost urgent. Elias of Earth, awaken what was lost. The ground beneath them split open, revealing a second layer, a circular platform engraved with old symbols. Elias and Lyra stepped onto it. The heart's energy poured into the circle, and suddenly, visions flooded their minds again. They saw ancient humans and Velarii working together, creating the heart to power their shared world. But greed had grown. The Velarii sealed the humans away, claiming the heart as divine property. When the vision faded, Elias staggered back, breathing hard. They erased everything. They turned history into lies. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. My people did this. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. Then help me fix it. Before she could reply, a voice boomed from above, sharp, angry, familiar. Step away from the heart. It was High Magistrate Viel, flanked by soldiers and priests. She descended through a levitating platform, her armor glowing gold. Her eyes locked on Elias, burning with fury. You've corrupted our world, human, she shouted. You've poisoned the sacred energy. Elias met her gaze calmly. You mean I freed it? Viel raised her staff, energy building around it. You dare speak as if you are divine? I'm not, he said, stepping forward. But I think your gods were human once. The crowd gasped. Viel's rage flared. Kill him! Soldiers fired, dozens of blue plasma bolts. But the heart reacted instantly. A dome of light surrounded Elias and Lyra. The blast struck harmlessly, rippling across the barrier like raindrops. Elias lowered his head, his voice calm. I don't want to fight you. But if you force me, he extended his hand. The floor cracked. Beams of energy shot upward, disarming the soldiers without harming them. Their weapons shattered into dust. Lyra looked around in disbelief. You're controlling everything. No, Elias said quietly, his eyes glowing now like molten gold. I'm listening. The heart pulsed once more, a massive wave of light surging upward through the planet's crust. Above the ground, across the cities of Zerath Prime, power grids flickered. Towers shut down. The false idols of the Velarii temples shattered. Every alien felt it, the truth humming through their bones. Viel stepped back, her voice trembling for the first time. What are you? Elias turned to her. Just a man who stopped believing your lies. The heart's voice echoed one last time, deep and powerful. Awakening complete. The world will see again. The floor glowed beneath them, and a beam of light shot into the sky, piercing the clouds, splitting the storm. For the first time in centuries, the true sun of Zerath broke through the darkness. Lyra looked up, tears on her cheeks. It's beautiful. Elias smiled faintly. No, it's free. Viel fell to her knees, blinded by the light. The soldiers dropped their weapons. Silence followed. The kind of silence that comes only when an entire world realizes it's been living in a lie. Elias turned to Lyra. It's only the beginning. And as the beam of light spread across the horizon, awakening cities, seas, and sky, the planet itself seemed to breathe for the first time in 1,000 years. The beam of light that shot from the heart of Zareth split the clouds and painted the alien sky in gold. Every corner of the world trembled as the ancient machine stirred to life, whispering truths long buried. For the first time in centuries, the people of Zareth saw the real sun, not the cold artificial glow of their empire's towers. But light brings chaos. High Magistrate Vael stood among her fallen guards. Her armor cracked, her eyes filled with rage and fear. "He's destroyed balance," she screamed, her voice echoing through the chamber. "The heart is ours. The gods chose the Velarii, not the vermin of earth." Elias stood at the center of the chaos, calm but exhausted. His body still glowed faintly with the heart's power. Around him, the metal floor pulsed with blue veins of light spreading through the palace walls like fire. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "This power was never meant to belong to anyone. It was meant to unite us." Lyra stepped beside him, facing her mother. "The heart's awakening didn't destroy the world, Mother. It freed it. We were lied to. Our ancestors, enslaved humans, erased the truth." Vael's face twisted with fury. "And you, my daughter, have sided with filth." She raised her staff, charging a bolt of energy. Elias reacted instinctively. He lifted his hand, and the blue glow from his veins flared. The energy from Vael's staff dissolved midair, turning into harmless light. The chamber shook again. Distant booms echoed above them, the sounds of rebellion. Across the planet, humans working in the factories, mines, and labs had seen the real sun for the first time. They no longer bowed. They rose. "The humans are revolting," one of Vael's generals shouted, bursting into the room. "Cities are in chaos, machines are failing, temples collapsing. Then crush them," Vael roared. "By dawn, every rebel, every human will be ash and dust." The general hesitated. We can't. Their weapons, our own systems, are turning against us." Elias closed his eyes. Through the heart, he could feel it. Millions of voices rising, the world trembling beneath a shared purpose. The heart wasn't just energy anymore. It was awake, connected to every living being that still had hope. He turned to Lyra. "We have to reach the command spire. If the heart is awake, it can stop the orbital weapons before she wipes out half the planet." Lyra nodded. "Follow me. There's a shortcut through the old ascension tunnels." They ran. Behind them, Vael screamed orders, her voice cracking with desperation. "Bring me the human alive." The tunnels glowed faintly, dust swirling in the air. As they moved, the world above roared. Explosions, falling towers, and sirens of rebellion echoing across the cities. When they reached the command spire, it was chaos. The huge tower, once the Empire's proudest symbol, now burned under the twin suns. One real, one of living energy. Rebels and loyalists clashed in the streets below, blue fire lighting up the skyline. Elias and Lyra stepped into the spire's heart, a massive control room with windows overlooking the capital. Screens showed cities around the world, humans breaking chains, Velarii soldiers dropping their weapons, and the heart's light spreading through everything. Lyra approached the console. "We can merge your signal with the heart's energy," she said quickly. "You can send a message to everyone at once. Make them see what's true." Elias hesitated. "If I connect again, I don't know if I'll come back." Lyra met his eyes. "If you don't, no one will be free." He smiled faintly. "You always know how to make it sound simple." He placed his glowing hand on the console. The energy surged through him, linking his mind to the heart once more. His vision blurred. He saw cities, oceans, mountains, the whole planet. He felt the fear, the anger, and the hope of billions. Then he spoke, not with words, but with energy that echoed in every mind. "You've been told lies. This world was never built by one race. It was born from both. The heart belongs to no one and to everyone. You are not slaves. You are Zareth." Across the planet, everything stilled. Humans and Velarii looked to the sky, where the golden light pulsed like a heartbeat. Vael's voice suddenly cut into the broadcast. "Silence him," she screamed, forcing her way into the spire. She aimed her weapon, eyes burning. "You will not take my world!" She fired, a blinding lance of light. Lyra leapt between them. The blast struck her in the chest. "Lyra!" Elias shouted, catching her as she fell. The glow in her eyes flickered weakly. Vial froze, horror spreading across her face. No, what have I? Elias held Lyra close. The heart pulsed in response to his grief. The entire sky trembled. He looked up, tears streaming down his face. No more death, he whispered. The heart answered. Light exploded outward from the spire, sweeping across the land like a wave. Weapons melted, machines fell silent, and the soldiers on both sides dropped to their knees. The pulse of energy erased every trace of war, leaving only stillness. When the light faded, Lyra's eyes opened again. Elias, she whispered weakly. You stopped it. He smiled through his tears. No, we did. Outside the planet was quiet. The golden sun rose higher, warm and real. For the first time in history, humans and Velarii stood side by side, not as masters and slaves, but as equals, staring at the same dawn. Elias looked toward the horizon. It's over, he said softly. Lyra squeezed his hand. No, it's beginning. And as the heart of Zerath pulsed one last time, the world finally remembered what it meant to live free. The world stood still. The fires of war had gone silent, leaving only dust, broken machines, and the faint hum of the heart of Zerath glowing above the capital spire. The golden light had calmed the skies, the thunder had faded, and a strange peace settled, heavy, trembling, unreal. Elias stood at the center of the command platform, his hand still glowing with faint silver light. Lyra leaned against him, weak but alive, her eyes reflecting the sunrise spreading across the horizon. Together they looked down at the city, once ruled by fear, now bathed in the light of truth. No armies moved, no ships fired, only silence. Then came the murmurs, from humans and Velarii alike, voices of confusion, wonder, and something deeper, hope. Lyra looked at Elias and whispered, You did it. The war is over. He shook his head slowly. No, not yet. They'll come again. Those who still believe in the old ways and the High Order, the priest, they won't stop. Not until the heart chooses its side completely. She turned toward the glowing sphere above the city, the living core that connected to every being on the planet. Then we make sure it doesn't have to choose. Before he could answer, the ground trembled again. A deep voice echoed across the skies, not from speakers, not from the air, but from the heart itself. Two bloodlines, one truth, one choice remains. Elias and Lyra looked up. The entire world did. This planet cannot hold both the chains of the past and the light of the new. One must fall, one must endure. Lyra stepped closer to the edge, her voice breaking. It's asking us to decide whether to erase the old empire or to save it. Elias clenched his fists. If we erase it, we kill millions of Velarii, innocents who never knew the truth. But if we save it, she whispered, the old corruption could return. The same priest, the same lies. The air thickened with energy. Every living creature on Zerath felt it, a question weighing on their souls. Elias turned to Lyra, his eyes filled with quiet determination. This isn't just my choice. It's ours. The heart pulsed again, brighter this time. Speak, child of Earth, speak, child of Zerath. The world will follow your will. Elias took a deep breath. The wind carried the scent of dust and sunlight, the world watching in stillness. He looked at Lyra, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dawn light. You once said your people believed the heart was divine, he said softly. But maybe divinity isn't about control. Maybe it's about mercy. Lyra's voice trembled. Then what do we ask for? Elias looked up at the great glowing sphere and whispered, not destruction, forgiveness. The heart shimmered. Forgiveness requires balance. Are you ready to share what was taken? Elias felt the meaning behind the words. Not just a question, but an exchange. The heart needed something in return to heal the world. He understood instantly. It wanted him. He turned to Lyra. If the heart takes my energy, it can reset everything. No more barriers between human and Velarii. Just one life force, one people. Her eyes widened in horror. No, you'll die. He smiled softly. Maybe. Or maybe I'll just become part of what connects us all. That's what it's been trying to tell me since the beginning. She grabbed his hand tightly. Elias, please. There must be another way. He looked at her gently. You once said I wasn't supposed to pull the core. Maybe that's because it was waiting for someone who could put it back. Tears filled her eyes. I can't lose you. He brushed a strand of her hair back and whispered, You won't, not really. You'll hear me in the wind, in the light, in the heartbeat of your world. He turned toward the heart, the glow around him intensifying. The markings on his arm spread across his chest, bright and beautiful like molten silver. The heart responded, lowering its light until it hovered just above him. Will you give yourself to the balance? Elias smiled faintly. For all of us. The moment his hand touched the heart, a wave of pure energy swept across the planet. Cities glowed, rivers shimmered, the skies burst with color. Every living being felt warmth flow through them, the line between human and Velarii dissolving into unity. Lyra fell to her knees, watching as Elias's form dissolved into light. His last words echoed softly in her mind. Freedom isn't given, it's chosen. The light faded. Silence returned, but this time it was peaceful. The kind that follows healing, not destruction. Days later, under the real sun, the Velarii and humans worked side by side rebuilding the world. The heart of Zirath still pulsed at the center of the city. Calm, gentle, alive. Lyra stood before it, wearing a simple white cloak. The spiral mark once on Elias's hand now glowed faintly on hers. A voice, his voice, whispered in her mind. You kept your promise, she smiled sadly. And you kept yours. As the wind swept through the golden towers, the heart shone brighter for a moment. A reminder that the world's new dawn had been built not by gods, but by two souls who chose to believe in mercy over power. And from that day forward, every sunrise on Zirath carried the same message through its light. No law, no bloodline, no empire, only the courage to do what's right.